Hey guys, this is Ruth at Extraordinary Farm, and well, I couldn't really contain my excitement, so I thought I'd do my video a little bit sooner. I will say my system is up and running, but we still have a lot of little bugs and a little kinks to work out to perfect the system to work for my greenhouse. Every one of these systems are probably going to be different. They're going to be unique to your geological area, they're going to be unique to your weather, and they're going to be unique to the system that you're trying to apply it to. So let's start walking through the whole system. So what you're looking at here is a compost pile, and this is the most important part of the entire system. I can't stress enough that if you decide to do this, you need to brush up on how to properly build a compost pile. I used 2-to-1 ratios here, so 2 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen. I'm trying to get my pile to last until the warm weather in the spring. I don't know if it will work because I worked with some different materials from the original creator of the Jean Pain mound system, and I do highly suggest that you look up Jean Pain and see what he's all about. He is a French innovator over in France, obviously, that has created the original heating compost pile system for, you know, harvesting the heat from the generation of it. And he uses specifically wood chips and horse manure, and he uses a 2-to-1 ratio as well. However, mine differs because I use garden cleanup, I use leaves, I used wood chips, and I use poultry manure, so I still have some kinks to work out there. So in the center of this, my pile is roughly about 10 feet by 10 feet. You can't really see it beyond the plastic because I'm using some of the bales to hold it down. But that pipe right there is actually the center of my pile. There's a coil in here that's roughly about 3.5 feet tall, and it starts at the bottom and it winds its way up around a frame that I had my hubby build me. And so when I have to dismantle this, it's going to be easy just to pop the pipe and everything right out, and I don't have to worry about it uncoiling and making a giant mess. And so let's come over here. And of course so the hay is actually here for a reason. Insulation helps retain the heat in here a little bit longer, and kind of helps slow down the penetrating cold air from the outside in the winter months. And Jean Pain and a lot of the other composters that do these methods to harvest the heat from actually use hay bales to insulate their piles with in the winter months. So over here, it's really hard to see. So that pipe is on the top of the pile, on top of the coil that's inside the pile, and that is the hot water. Sorry about my camera, it's being a bit of a pain. That is the hot water inlet into the greenhouse. That is the hottest of the water can get, and that's what I'm going to be harvesting from inside for my heat source. Down here, it's kind of hard to see, but that's the cold water return. So that's coming from inside the greenhouse back into the pile, and this is going to have the cool water that will be pumped up through the coil inside of the compost pile. So let's go into the greenhouse. Oh, there's a lot going on in here, so don't mind the mess. Alright, so this is the hot water return here, like I was showing you outside the building, coming from the compost pile. And usually this is pretty hot, but I've been running it now for 24 hours and it's cooled down some, so I actually have to shut my system down to let it regenerate. You don't want your water to move too fast through the compost pile because it cools it down and then causes delay in the composting and so on and so forth. So you have to find a happy medium for everybody. So I've got to go get a timer that turns the water pump on and off to be able to get my water a little bit hotter. But it does stay about 43 degrees in here, so it's comfortable enough to keep things above freezing, obviously. So the hot water comes in and it heads into the radiator here, and the radiator here is where majority of the heat is going to come from. Obviously we all know that radiators radiate out heat. This is obviously a cast iron. I really did not, this is a steam one, a steam radiator. I did not want that. I really wanted just a hot water radiator, but trying to find one was a little bit difficult. So I had to use the next best thing, which was this big guy here. So the water comes through the bottom here. It does fill up about halfway, but it's kind of airlocked in these 4 over here, and it does go all the way up to this one because there's an air vent at the top there that can bleed out the air. But it is very warm right now. It's actually nice and toasty and warm. And the hot water continues through here and heads up this pipe up to the top of my barrel up here, and that's the hot water entering into this barrel. And this is a metal barrel. I did not originally have planned a barrel in my system. I didn't want to have to put that in here, but we didn't have a choice because when I was trying to do the passive thermosiphoning part of it all, and get the water to naturally move on its own, you need a bigger you need a bigger drop in your water system so it actually pushes the water. I can't get that in here. I mean, from my floor to my ceiling of my greenhouse is about 10.5, maybe 11 feet. So there's no possible way, and you need roughly about between 15 to 20 feet to get a good drop to create a passive thermosiphoning system. So we opted out, so I put a pump in here. It's a really small pond pump. And actually we got, I didn't even think it was gonna work because it only pumps out to 9 feet. And this guy here actually the barrel got up high enough that when I put the palm pump in here, there was enough gravity already in place that it actually worked beautifully. So that is what's moving all the water, the hot water from the composting pile into the greenhouse and back. So, you know, for right now, we do have to depend on a little bit of electricity to run the system, but I guess it's a trade-off at the moment, and I'll be messing with this more during the summer months when I can have all my stuff outside and not being cluttering up the greenhouse at the moment. So the bottom pipe is the cold return. So as it comes through the top, it sinks down to the bottom and it comes back down through this pipe, and then it goes right back down into the compost pile here, back into this. We do have an on and off valve, so we can actually drain the system or refill the system. We can also refill it through the barrel because that didn't come with a secured top on it, so we have to watch that as well. But overall, I'm really excited that the system is working, that we have heat in here. Regardless, it's not, you know, about 50 where I was hoping, but I've got to adjust that a little bit by working with how long the pump has to be on for and how long the water has to sit into the compost pile. So that's a little bit of bumps in the road that we have to work out. So I hope you all enjoyed watching our endeavors here of trying to figure out a composting pile to heat our greenhouse and all the trials and errors that we had to go through. I've learned a lot and still have a lot to learn about this, and hope to inspire you all to do the same. Have a good day.